Hi there, guys. My name is Vino, and welcome to the Board Game One channel, where our one focus is board games and board game adjacent hobbies. In this inaugural video to this channel, I'm going to be talking about one of the most board game adjacent hobbies out there, Warhammer. And we'll be looking into this box in a moment of what I've got in the box, but a bit of a sneak peek of what's to come in upcoming videos. I do have with me some various Warhammer paints here. We've got Citadel Color Base Nagaroth Knight. We've got the Technical Mordant Earth, Layer Doomball Brown, and finally we have Grey Seer. That's just a sneak peek of what's to come in an upcoming video. I have those are secondhand paints. We'll get onto those in a moment. But I'm going to unbox, open up this box, and we're going to look inside as to what's going on in here. So the first thing that we come to, we'll put these to one side because we'll talk about those in a moment. The first thing I want to talk about is these, because this is the first thing that I got recently when it comes to Warhammer. So I've gotten back into Warhammer recently, and this is the Lumineth Realm Lords special edition box, starter box that came out a few years ago now. The date on the sprues is 2020, but when I look online, it says that it came out a bit later, but the sprues say 2020, so we'll go with that for now. But this is a book, a codex-like book that came with the special edition set. Obviously, gives you some background on the Lumineth Realm Lords, and it is gilded or sprayed edge, whatever you want to call it, but it does have a gold edging, which is really nice, and does have a bookmark, a built-in ribbon bookmark that is actually really, really nice. I'm not going to go through the whole book. I'm just going to show off. Then I'm going to show off the sprues. We're going to put the bubble wrap to one side, and we do have the sprues here for all of the various parts. We've got some shields there, some arms with weapons and whatnot. More, we've got actually a torso there. We have a long pole arm kind of weapon there. Yeah. And I'm actually trying to be careful with some of these because I have seen some whitening on some of those. So I'm trying to be careful that I don't damage those any more than they already have been damaged, to be honest. We're then going to come to, we'll come to that in a moment, because that's actually connected to what's, there we go. That's the, has actually almost broken. You can see there, this pole arm has a bit of whitening there. So that does look like that is about to break. So be very careful with this sprue. Got more stuff there. But if I now bring out this, there we go. That's the Lumineth Realm Lords and what they're supposed to look like. Hopefully that is all in frame for you guys. But there we go. And there's some instructions in there of how to put them together. And on the back, there's instructions of how to paint them in the same way they have them in this little pamphlet. Really do like that. We're then going to move on to some of the accoutrement that comes in here as well. The first thing, so this is a combat gauge. So there we go. We have a combat gauge for some of their attacks, if I'm not mistaken. We'll put that to one side. We then have a built-in ruler. I think these are damage counters or something. They might be markers of some description. I am now going to unpack this. I've been waiting to unpack this for weeks now, but wanted to do it in this video. So let's take out these and the cards. Dump those into there. So we've got these markers. The ruler is basically just ready to fall out. But these are markers of some description. Objective markers and ether quartz markers. I'll be honest, I don't know what they are, but they're with it. You do get a ruler as well, which is actually a nice little inclusion. This is supposed to be a starter set, so it's supposed to be everything you need to get started. So they include you a cardboard, but a ruler, nonetheless, or a rule if you prefer, if you're in a different country. You also get, you do get the cool rules. There's a reason I'm doing air quotes around that. This is a heavily stripped down version of the Warhammer Age of Sigmar rules. I do have the book downstairs, which we're showing off in another video, the 4th edition of the rules, which also features the Spearhead rules, and we get onto that in a moment. But this is a very much stripped down version of the rules, but it is just to get you started. So again, I'm not going to hold too much against it. Obviously, you get the bases. You get, I think it's 20 dice. The jury is out on how you say that. I swear it's changed over the years. It used to be dice for one, die for multiple, whatever it was, but now it's changed. Language just does like to change. We're going to try and get into this if I can. And there we go. We have, I'm not going to get them all out, because exactly what I thought would happen. They will drop. But there we go. We have these. I was going to call them translucent, but I think they're actually quite transparent. But there's actually really nice dice, actually. They roll really well, to be honest. All of the sixes have this like hieroglyphic type symbol on it. I'll move it up to the camera for you to see that. Yeah, really nice dice. Actually, not gonna lie on that one. Put them back into this bag, although this bag does look like it's about to fall apart now, which is, I tried to avoid it, but it happens sometimes. We'll put those to one side. You also have these cards. So we're gonna break into the cards. They seem quite stuck at the moment. Ow. They are extremely stuck. These are reference cards. Wow. There's a plastic band around the top here. So I might as well, because I'm about to use it, show off this. So beside me, I have the first two editions or issues of the Hatchet Partworks Warhammer Spearhead Partworks that's going on. And in the package that I received was this, which is a little file, but also you received, no, don't, some proper Citadel snips or Warhammer snips. These are a must. And what I'm going to do, carefully, I'm going to use these to cut, if I can, this plastic bit at the top. And I'm hoping, nope, that has done, whoa, no, okay. I was about to say that has done nothing to allow me entry, but then I get called a liar. Right then, I'm going to try and put these back into the order they were in. But these are reference cards. So yeah, these you can give out to players. There you go, Lawmaster, Warmaster. Yeah, these are reference cards you can give to players to make it easier to, obviously, I assume they've got actions, attacks, spells, that sort of stuff for all of the stuff. What's on the back? Yeah. So again, this is meant to be a starter set, so there are some reference cards to make getting into the game a little bit easier, but they are a pain, or were a pain in the arse. to get out of there. I'm curious how well they're going to go back in. Rather well, but I am worried about longevity in terms of them breaking. But yeah, so I did get the Citadel snips and the file. Talking about that, we'll now move on to this. So this is the second issue. We've got the first issue down there. We'll put all these back in the box. Again, being careful that I don't damage any more of. There we go. We've got the first Warhammer Age of Sigmar Spearhead Partworks that's been coming out recently. So this is issue 2. Just gonna open it up, get the magazine out first. Bases. We'll put the bases over there. So there you go. Just some bases. It does smell good in a way. Plastic crap, which is worse than the actual stuff in terms of getting addicted to it. So in these magazines, you get a. Why is that not opening all the way? There's a hole punch. Oh, it's hole punched because you are going to get a binder of some description, and that's actually ripped. Well, don't like that. I'm going to be extremely honest with you. Don't like that at all. But we will carry on. To get a rundown of the figures you get Skavens in this particular set. We move on, and I do not like that. I'm going to be extremely honest with you. I do not like that ripping like that at all. So, how to build them? So, similarly to that Lumineth Realm Lords set that I've got, you get a way of building them, painting them. I also assume we carry on. You'd also get how to paint. There we go. So, how to paint them. Fighting with units. So, you get a tutorial, a technique guide. So, basically, it walks you through how to, if you're a base player, tells you how to allocate get damage. And also gives you basically a codex type section. And then victory. And then it advertises the rest of the gather your armies with Warhammer. Subscribe to Warhammer. Oh, and there you go. You've actually got some wound markers around the corners. That's pretty good. And then you got the back advertising issue 3, which I don't understand. Well, actually, I do understand why they do this. Why they advertise, the next issue. I do understand why, because when you get quality control like this, you have to advertise the next part to make sure somebody doesn't unsubscribe after the first or second bleeding issue. I'm really pissed off about that, and I'll be contacting the people about this. We're going to open up issue 1. Probably should have done this first, but so in this pack, you get again sprues with various figures on there. You get some dice, 6 dice, I think, or 8. We're about to find out. I can fish all the dice out. So you get 2, 6, 6 little dice, which are always useful in a game of Warhammer. You get the bases, which again we are going to put just over there so they don't get lost. Right, I'm going to put this to one side. So you get a bit more in this particular one. So again, you get the magazine. That's better. You're not ripping it to shreds. So similar to the first one, you get a overview of, I believe this is like lore. Yeah, this is lore of the Age of Sigmar world. You get Spearhead, so you actually get a a rundown of the spearheads themselves. You get gave a name. You get some character sheets kind of thing. How to build again. More how to build. An Age of Battle. Core concepts. Water scroll. How to fight. Doesn't look like in this one. You get a how to paint segment, which kind of makes sense because they are the idea is that slowly over the course of this series of part works, you will slowly build up an army and build up skills in order to paint them. You also get, I'm not going to get the whole thing out, but you get a board game, a mat, basically. So you can play Age of Sigmar, Spearhead, and you also get this, which is another poster, which is basically another advertisement. Free poster inside. Okay. So I have subscribed to the premium edition of it, which is an extra £2.50 per issue. And that's why I've gotten the snips and the little file. You also get some paint brushes. Is that the next one? So you get a large, medium, and small. Get a large dry brush, medium base brush, and small layer brush. You get the binder. So with your third delivery, you get that. It doesn't say when you get that. You get a mug. Yeah. So you get all sorts of stuff. You get a binder. You get snips, the file. You get paint brushes. So you do get quite a bit of extra stuff. A mug, which you can either drink out of, obviously, or you can put water in it and use it to clean off brushes. I think that's the main reason why they've included a mug, because that's mainly what you use a mug for when you're painting your miniatures. There you go. There's the. Oh, I'm not going to do it. There's actually a decent poster inside there. I'll give them that. But again, it's basically a massive advert, which I'm not the biggest fan of them including an advert in something you've already bought. It seems a bit odd to me. Having said that, it's redundant to me because I've already bought the premium edition. So obviously, this is advertising the premium part of it, which you can retrospectively subscribe to if you want to when you're going through the part works, when you're collecting them. So, I understand it, even though it may be a bit redundant on me personally. But there you go. There's my initial, dipping the toes into Warhammer Age of Sigmar Spearhead. I have a lot of Warhammer content coming over the coming weeks, months, whatever it may be, just to give you a bit of a sneak peek. I have an airbrush, I have a load of paints, I have a couple of, what's the wording? I have a couple of beads, I suppose you could call it, on some Warhammer 40k stuff. I've reached out to somebody to buy the Leviathan starter box with all the Tyranids and the, I'll say Ultramarines, they are Ultramarines, Space Marines. Some people may say why I may not wait till Armageddon, because there is a strong, strong rumor that Armageddon is coming out in June, which is, I'm recording this on late May at the moment. I think it's Sunday, May the 17th. So they're saying that Armageddon is going to come out June. Some people are saying June the 6th is the rumored date. The reason I'm holding off is because the jury is out on Armageddon. The Armageddon starter box, scalpers are already putting on eBay for £620, when I do believe its RRP is maybe a couple £100, maybe £150. The Leviathan box that came out was, £150, I do believe. Here in the UK, I've managed to find it for £250 somewhere. Again, that is obviously secondary market markup, but it's not it's not egregious in terms of its markup, but obviously there are scalpers already grabbing the Armageddon data box and hiking up the price, scalpinizing the price, whatever you want to call it. Really, I'm not paying £620 for that. And to be honest, I'm more interested in Leviathan, the 10th edition of the rules. Armageddon's the 11th edition rules. I didn't say that because the 10th edition of the rules is where Combat Patrol started, and Combat Patrol is basically 40k's version of Spearhead. Spearhead is Age of Sigmar's version of Combat Patrol. I do understand that Combat Patrol has been further refined in the 11th edition rules. But to be honest, I've only just gotten back into Warhammer. I don't really want to dive headfirst into the latest edition of the rules. And I was actually watching a video earlier in which the YouTuber in which did the video, still actively plays the 5th edition of the rules. So I don't think there's any right or wrong, so to speak, in what edition of the rules you do or don't play. It's personal preference. So I will keep to Leviathan for now. Hopefully you enjoyed this inaugural video. There are going to be videos on board games. I have a wide selection of board games. I'm looking at them right now. I've got Deep Madness. I've got Seventh Continent. I have Endure the Stars. I've got Bard Song. I've got Dawn of Madness. I've got Frostpunk, the board game. Yeah, I've got my fair share of games that will be coming up on this channel. I'm also going to probably re-upload a couple of videos I recorded on my other channels onto this channel just to get some activity. Until next time, guys, please take care and enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.